Hello everyone and welcome to the 15th installment of the Turf Battles New Client Development Diaries. So today we have a couple different things to show you guys. We'll just get right into it, and at the end we'll actually be talking about the beta release, so stay tuned for that. But first thing we did want to show was the How event. Um, Specifically gaining EXP during the How event. Um, so I'm just working my way there. This is the Frozen Land entrance. Here we go. So we've already actually started the How event prior to starting this video, but I'm just going to go down to the center of How. So there's all the monsters. I'm going to go ahead and bring another character here. Okay. So right now, we can't see this because there's no icons, but both these characters are currently in the Lad Nation. Um, so this change specifically has to do with the XP gained in How, um, as well as maybe other events in the future. But right now it's just only on How, where if you kill a monster, uh, you're gonna gain EXP no matter no matter if you're in the party or not. So basically, we've reworked the XP system so that it has different types. The first type is just the normal EXP, so you get EXP once you kill a monster. The new type is the nation EXP, so you get EXP if somebody in your nation kills the monster and you're within viewing distance. And then we've also added an additional type where you gain EXP if you're near the person that killed the monster. We haven't actually added any content that uses that specific feature yet, but it is there if we ever do need it. And I'm just thinking of situations where we have large um, events like GM-based events, or maybe even like the Pet Boss event if we were to make it give experience. Okay, but just to kind of demonstrate it, I'm going to go ahead and kill some monsters. Right now I'm at 0%. I'm pressing P, you can see I'm not in a party. And I'm going to go ahead and kill some monsters on my other character. Actually, I need to make it super strong before I do that. Okay. So I just used some GM commands so I one-hit all of these and attack really fast. But already we can see that we're gaining EXP even though we're not in a party. Cool. So this is going to happen for every single monster that's on How. We have the ability to make this happen on any monster, not just monsters on How, but any monster. But right now it is only on How. Something else that changed with the EXP system is we got rid of the functionality where you gain experience on some monsters per hit. Now the reason for that was we just thought it was unnecessary, um, and it's a level of unnecessary that adds a lot of stress onto the server. That's just not needed. For example, every time you hit a monster, the server has to do all the calculations to determine how much EXP you get based on the HP that's been taken away from the monster and how much is left. But also in addition to that, we found that it was a little abusable, especially now that you're able to buff and debuff monsters, in the sense that if you were to use a buff that debuffed a monster's health, um, you can kind of play with how much EXP you're going to get if it was per hit. But we've changed that so that that won't matter anymore. Um, we're also thinking about maybe adding a feature where you gain EXP um, if you're within viewing range of a tribe mate for certain monsters as well. And we tie that into the tribe system somehow. Um, but that's not something that we've added quite yet. So I'm just going to try and get out of here. I think that was the Veros. Actually, that was the Lad entrance. I'll just teleport out. Sorry, I'll pause the video. Okay. Um, So something else that we've also been working on, and we're not going to show it here because it actually requires that we shut down the server and do some weird stuff. But basically is we've added the ability for the server to, when it reconnects with all, like let's say the channels disconnect from each other or channel 1 crashes for some reason. When it starts back up, usually we have to start the Frozen Land War ourselves. Um, Also, the EXP event we have to start ourselves. We've changed it so that once the server does restart, if it missed an FL war or if there is an ongoing FL war, it's going to automatically reconnect and start that FL war again on that channel if needed. Same with the buff event. If there's a buff event going on and we restart the servers, if when they come back online the buff event is still supposed to be ongoing, then it's going to automatically restart. Okay. Um, so the big feature here is the booth system. So basically, we've finished re-implementing the booth system. It should be working fairly similarly to how the current live server works, with a few caveats. But right now, there's zero Lenny cost for me opening a booth with or without an ad, and that's because I am on a subscription character. If I was not on a subscription character, it would have a cost of 50,000 Lenny for no ad or 500k Lenny for with an ad. But we'll go ahead and just do with enable ad. So this is the new booth window. It's pretty straightforward comparison to what we have right now, but there's a couple key differences, which I'll demonstrate right now. So the first thing is the change booth ad. This is only available, of course, if you pay for the ad, but basically in the current version this doesn't really get used. You show the booth title 24/7. What we do now is it's going to show this text right here if you don't have an ad or if the ad is blank. And then if you do have an ad, it'll show whatever's in this box on top of your head. So for example, if I type in, actually, if I just open it, just to show you that, it'll say level 12 demos booth because I didn't type anything in here, so by default it's going to show that. Now if I was to reopen this and provide a title, new booth title, and I click open, now it shows new booth title. Okay, so basically when you do opt to pay that 500,000 Lenny for an ad, that's what you're paying for. Okay, and right now if you're wondering, the close booth button is disabled just because there's a timer on when that's re-enabled. I believe it's like 10 or 15 seconds, but don't quote me on that. Looks like it's going on longer, so it might be 30 seconds to a minute. We're not going to wait that long, so I'm just going to reopen one. Okay, so as soon as I try to add something, it asks me how much. It was a material, so let's put 100. Okay, so that's saying that we're going to sell this whole stack for 100. Now the reason it's the whole stack and not per stack or per quantity is because this is a raw material. Same with quivers, they're going to charge you for the entire stack, not per item or not per quantity. So if I was to go ahead and open that booth and then visit on my other character, I could try and buy it if I had Lenny. Let me just set some Lenny. Oops. There we go. Okay, so if I try to buy it now, I end up with 100 Lenny. Cool. Okay. Um, so I'm actually going to open a booth on my other character now just to demonstrate the other pieces of functionality. Throw in some items there just for us to see. Actually, one change that has happened now is that if you enter a booth while it's closed, in the current version you can't see any items that are in it. But in this version, if you enter a booth that's closed, can see the items. So basically, anytime there's a change made to the booth, you're going to be able to see whether or not it's open. Okay, just add a couple more items. Cool. Okay, so now down here, before it said total profit, now it says total spent. This is how much money you're going to be spending, and that's visible anytime you enter somebody else's booth. But basically, you can just highlight all the items like you do in the current version. You can buy them all at once. It's going to tell you a quick summary of your purchase. So here we're buying 15 Divine Gems for 50 Lenny each, 4,447 Turf Cash for 5 Lenny each, and 1 How Chest for 11 Lenny, with a grand total of 24,496 Lenny. That's just a quick summarization. If you try and buy it, you get a quick confirmation. Oop, the booth's not open yet. So if I open the booth and I try to buy it, it tells me how much Lenny it's going to cost, how much Lenny I have, and what my Lenny will be after I make the purchase. And ask you, are you sure you want to buy it? I'm going to go ahead and click no for now. Okay, so if you do see there's a stack size here for the Turf Cash, you can buy it, but you don't have to buy the full stack like with materials. You can buy 1, for example, and that's going to cost 5 Lenny. Bought 1. You can buy the whole stack of 5. Or sorry, there was 1 there, not 5. Then you can keep buying stacks of 1 if you really wanted. Buy stacks of 2. Doesn't matter, you can buy as much as you want. It's pretty straightforward. This is functionality that has been on the current version for a while. We've just kind of improved it and changed it. Something that you might have noticed, but if you didn't, I'll redo it. When I created this booth and I added an item, so this Turf Cash, what's going to happen is this item is going to disappear from my inventory. So there you go, it's no longer there. So that's because we're switching it from the inventory to the booth instead of leaving it both in the booth and the inventory like we do in the current system. So what happens here, if for whatever reason you get items while in your booth, it shouldn't be possible, but we've taken into account in case it does happen. But basically, if you close your booth and your inventory is full somehow, the items in your booth will automatically get sent to your mailbox. Okay, so if you're ever missing some items from your booth, they were sent to your mailbox. This shouldn't ever happen because there's no way for you to pick up an item, and we've actually prevented it in the back end. But just in case that ever happens, check your mailbox. What I did just there was I selected multiple items, but when you select multiple items, it has to be of the same type. So I selected my whole inventory, they're not all the same type. Here they aren't the same stack size, I believe. Yep. So once they're same stack size, you can add them. There we go. When I try to add a material that's not the max stack size, it won't let me because you can only sell the materials and I believe arrows once they are at their max stack size, which for this is 10,000 and for arrows I believe is 3,000. Okay, we've also been working on fixing some other minor issues. We found an actual issue that caused the player's client to disconnect in certain situations. We're actually working on that right now. It's why we're uploading the video a little late today, but that should be fixed within the next day or so. We've also been working on the tools that we use on our back end. So of course that's something you won't be able to see, but they are being worked on. And that's it really for this video. But we do want to talk about the release for the test server for this new client. So originally we were planning on releasing on April 15th. I still think we can meet that deadline. The problem is I don't want that deadline to come and then us still have some things to wrap up and kind of have to delay it last minute. So what we're doing instead is we're going to announce that the release or the beta release of this new client will be on the 29th of April instead. So that ends up on a Friday, I believe. But basically, that just gives us that additional 2 week buffer in case anything does happen or anything goes awry for us to fix it. Um, if nothing does happen, we're going to be spending those 2 weeks just digging into all the content that we've worked on and doing some private bug testing before releasing into the beta. So if we do find anything, we can fix it in those 2 weeks. Um, so I think that's it. Once we're closer to the date, we will kind of give everyone more information on how it's going to work. But basically, we'll start on the 29th. With that should be the new launcher release. Um, so at the same time that you're testing the new client, you'll also be testing the new launcher. But again, we'll give more information on that and how it's going to work closer to that date. Yeah, so that's it for today. We will post another video in 2 weeks, so it's going to be the 13th. And then after that, we won't post on the 27th, but we will, of course, be posting those instructions or that information that I just talked about. Okay. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry it was so short. There's a lot of back-end stuff happening there. Have a good week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.